know.
I'm going to rearrange it in my pocket.
And the phone.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Liam and Joe show on what is, in the UK at least, World Book Day. Now, I assume it's the World Book Day everywhere because it's the World Book Day.
I assume so. The first one was in 1997.
But we also, what, is it?
It was. It was the first one, 1997. I had because Radio 4 told me this morning.
Oh, did it?
And
Oh, la! Joe's listening to Radio 4.
I do because I got a new radio for my car which broke, so I put the old one back in, and now it barely picks up radio stations. So I listen to Radio 4 a lot now. The first book day was in 1997, and I remember it because I dressed up as a playing card from Alice in Wonderland.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. My daughter, very different. My daughter went to school today dressed as 11 from Stranger Things.
What is Stranger Things books? Because we, like, when my eldest was at school, we used to go to World Book Day and they'd be like, oh, he's a Minecraft character. It's a video game, not a book. Well done on World Book Day.
But there are books about Minecraft.
That's a
and as my daughter argued to her mother and the school, is that Stranger Things does have a 2-book series.
Is it though?
It is. She just wanted to dress up as 11.
Anyhow, it is in fact World Book Day in the UK here today. It'd be interesting to know if it is World Book Day globally, or if it's just one of those things we call World Book Day, like when the Americans are like the National Basketball Championships and only teams from America are involved, or if it's like that. That'd be interesting to know. So because it's World Book Day today, and I actually had no idea, Joe messaged me literally yesterday evening and was like, Liam and Joe show World Book Day special Black Library. I was like, yeah, we can do that, cool. So the topic of the stream is Warhammer World Book Day, why not? And then I said to people, what's your favourite book? So we're just going to basically talk today a bit about Black Library, a bit about the Warhammer narrative, the 40k narrative specifically, alongside the Horus Heresy as well. Some of our favourite narrative moments, some of the books that I would recommend and Joe would recommend. Spoiler, this is going to probably have more input from Joe than me because I've read some books, he's read many books. And when I say read, they've been read to you.
In the last 10 plus years, yes.
Yeah. The first thing I also want to say is, well, there's two things. Firstly, magical buttons.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe. That's what you're doing it. Hit the like button if you enjoy the content. Smash subscribe if you haven't already. And you can hit the bell notification icon if you want to be notified when we go live or drop a new video. And if you were worrying if that was broken last night, this is the second part. Apologies, I actually didn't stream at all yesterday. I came here on Tuesday, set the stream up, went home, still didn't get to bed till late because I was busy doing stuff. Woke up early on Wednesday morning because other things I had to do, and then I felt awful yesterday. I was exhausted, and Lou seems to think it was mild exhaustion. So I took the day off. I was in bed yesterday before the evening stream was due to start, and I was asleep long before it was due to finish. I actually feel okay today.
Yeah.
So she might have been all right. She might have been right. I don't like admitting that Lucy's right, but she might have been right. So apologies. There was someone even put on a comment going, "Did I miss the Wednesday stream?" There was no Wednesday stream. Apologies for that. You know me, I don't like missing streams, but I feel okay today and I felt awful yesterday. So it was probably worth the break.
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe. Interestingly as well, on this topic, Games Workshop, Warhammer community specifically, launched an article around an hour ago, roughly, kind of on this topic, talking about books specifically. And Joe swore at me. They announced the top 10 books of the last year. And I know
I've got the list.
I know that from 3 to 1, book number 3 in the top 10.
No, we'll do a countdown.
Okay.
We'll do a countdown. Chat very kindly shared the picture in
the OnlyThings.
In the OnlyThings. Hang on.
They're good, them OnlyThings, aren't they?
So, got it here. My phone. Number 10 was Cypher, Lord of the Fallen.
I've not read that one.
I have. I didn't finish it.
Oh, not great then.
As I just said to my friends, Cypher, Lord of the Fallen, the premise of the book is brilliant. Dark angels breaking onto Terra to capture, or steal and capture Cypher, who has been caught by the Custodes and imprisoned.
Okay.
Right? Premise of the book's excellent. Poorly executed, in my opinion. It just kind of rushes along. I was like, this could have been a 3-part series. Instead, it was like a 6-hour audiobook. I was like, just flesh it out. Like, why are these people? Why are they so emotionally invested? You know, there's lots of like. aha, surprise. There's like ciphers like, you've activated my trap card kind of thing.
Uno reverse.
Yeah. There's like, I want more explanation on how he got to his position, but I kind of find with the cipher stuff, they want to keep him secretive because he is like the ultimate MacGuffin for 40k.
Yeah.
They're like, these space marines are trapped on a planet. They're literally about to die, and the author's like, oh, I've written myself into I've snookered myself on this plot story now. He's like, oh, what do I do? He's like, oh, Cypher turned up, killed everyone, left.
Yeah.
Space Marine saved. And I was like, oh, for God's sake, yeah. But good book. It's worth a listen to if you like Dark Angels doing dodgy shit.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Great book. Number 9, Gene Father, which is on my wish list. I've not listened to it yet.
What's that about? Do you know what it's about?
By the picture, it's Fabius Bile versus... what's his name?
Show me the picture.
Robot Man. Bellazzari's cool. Yeah.
Robot Man.
Robot Man, because they're both like gene men, aren't they?
They might
because Fabius Bile is really into like
Levi's.
Yeah. And like doing weird shit with stuff. And then obviously
Bellazzari's cool is more of a G-Star man.
Yeah, he makes all the Primaris Marine stuff, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas Fabius Bile just does cloning and shit. He's like, oh, you've got an extra arm and a fourth toe or big toe on your forehead. You know, he's just one of those kind of guys.
Yep.
Just wiggles. 8, justifiably so, Vainglorious.
Cypher's Kane.
Cypher's Kane.
Yep.
It's a great book. Great. I'm biased because I just love Cypher's Kane books.
I know you do, yeah. Even if you say his first name wrong.
Yeah. I don't care. Caiaphas, Cyphus.
Cypher's Kane. It literally says it in the audiobooks.
It depends on who's talk. Because obviously, the thing I like about the audiobook specifically is that obviously the whole book is read by Stephen Perring, and he reads it like that Cypher's Kane is reading his memoir.
Yeah.
So he's sat in a chair much like this in front of a fireplace, drinking space brandy, you know, and just talking about his life. And then obviously you got the bits of Amberley in between, who like at the start and end of each chapter.
There are some of the Cypher's Kane books where her interruptions is just too frequent.
Yeah.
There are parts of it where it's like, editorial note, no, shut the fuck up, I'm trying to listen to him.
Yeah.
Get out, woman.
I like the newer ones where they put in like speeches from governors. So like it becomes like almost like a little scene, and they put like cameras clicking and stuff. That was great. That's a great one. So Vainglorious, great book.
Okay.
Number 7, End in the Dev Part 1.
Part 1, number 7, okay, yeah.
It's
It's been out for quite a while now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good couple of years now. Brilliant book.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Great. I love it.
Cool.
Yeah. Number 6, Fall of Cadia.
Okay.
I haven't read that one or had that one read to me.
We can use the term read that one. We don't have to clarify. For reference, chat, Joe and I consume most of our narrative. Actually, Brom's probably on this train now as well, and Kyle definitely is. We consume most of our narrative now via audiobooks.
Yeah.
Because it's just easier, because you can sit and paint or sit and build or whatever you're doing and have it drive and have it read to you at the same time. So when we say we've read that book, it's safe to assume we've probably had it read to us rather than actually read the book. All right, just for reference. Sorry, carry on.
But I assume it's great because it's got to number 6. All right. Number 5, War Boss. Not read that one. I struggle with Orc's primary character book.
Yeah, agree. I strongly agree.
But the guy who read the Audible has been all over TikTok, all over Facebook, doing his like ooga booga face, and he went, I'm an orc. That one. Just. I struggle to watch it. It's very cringy.
I'm sure he'll be watching and he'll take maximum offence from that. Carry on.
But he does a good orc voice. But the problem with like especially audiobooks, orcs are just football hooligans, aren't they?
I don't like when that's the narrative. I don't like orc narrative. When the narrative is Beast Arises, I like orc narrative.
Orc narrative in Cypher's or Caiaphas Kane is great because it's from his perspective. Like he has a lot of respect for orcs in the sense that they will mess you up if they get close to you. But they're also bumbling idiots.
Yeah.
Number 4, Cypher's Kane again.
Caiaphas Kane.
The anthology.
Okay.
I will go to what is in the anthology.
Caiaphas Cain is, if you haven't, by the way, if you're watching this because it's a Black Library kind of special and you're looking for recommendations to read, to listen to, the Caiaphas Cain series in general is definitely up there as one of, I think personally, GW's best works narratively.
So the Caiaphas Cain is all the novellas.
Okay.
So I should probably get it. I've got a thing. I need to get it.
The thing about Caiaphas Cain, if you're unaware, Caiaphas Cain is a commissar from the Astra Militarum from the Imperial Guard. I mean, I think for pretty much all of the content, it's classified as the Imperial Guard because a lot of it was written before the name change. He works as a commissar for the Imperial Guard, who is an Imperial hero who plays himself down as being a bit of a lucky escapist.
Yeah, he wants a quiet, simple life. So originally he gets himself seconded to a Valhallan artillery unit because of how things always turn out, he gets put on like the suicide missions or like has to go and assassinate someone.
It's written as a memoir. It's fun. It's got and because it's from I've spoken about this a little bit before, right? Because it's from a human's perspective. At least for me, this is how it works for me. It's a slightly more relatable because I'm a human and I know what human emotions are like, and so it gives you the 41st millennium and its terrifying kind of world from a human's perspective with a bit of comedic kind of narrative jumbled in, which I quite like. And the other thing is, especially if you're an ex-military person, I feel like the person who wrote those books did some research. Yeah, because a lot of it's like, that's a hat tip to actual military life. Yeah, like they're brilliant.
Yeah, and it's all about like, and it comes from how his opinions feel is how probably 90% of how guardsmen feel. They just don't want to be there. They don't want to do the job. It's horrible. Yeah.
It's brilliant. I honestly think they are. If you're trying to, I genuinely believe this. If you're trying to ease yourself into 40k narrative, they're some of the best books you can put your hands on because of the relatability, because they're human angled. I actually think, and because there's a slight comedic slightly comedic aspect, they're not too heavy. Yeah. For me, they are some of the best books to draw yourself into 40k narrative.
And he fights orcs, necrons, Eldar, Dark Eldar, Chaos, Gene Stealers, Tau. He's either fighting Tau or working with Tau. His interactions with the Mechanicum are just brilliant because it really plays into the weird kind of lifestyle of what the Admech have. How he talks about, because obviously the Admech, they make the little cats, the little robots that go and search spaceships and stuff. But it basically talks about how these cats are essentially pets that Admech make for themselves.
Really good series. Brilliant. Highly recommended. Yeah. And if you go on, if you just go on Google and search Caiaphas Cain, same as you can do with things like Heresy, it'll give you the novels in order as well. Yeah. Which I think is worth. I would always recommend reading them in order if you can, or listening to them in order. But yeah, honestly, I started listening to Caiaphas Cain, and I would go as far as to say I think they're probably my favourite set of books so far. And I've dabbled in loads of the 40k narrative books, and I've read the Horus Heresy, and I've read other bits of 40k lore and 30k lore. I think the Caiaphas Cain's books are probably my favourites.
And I think the great things about the Caiaphas Cain books, I think you have to listen to the first one first, because it kind of explains how the stories of everything is built up, and you kind of learn the kind of how it's written in the first person with Amberley interjecting. But then you can listen to the rest of the books in any order, because
you can,
because it flits around. Because
there is references
to other books
that if you haven't read them yet, you'll be like, what's that?
But sometimes in the bits where they do a callback, like Amberley, the Inquisitor, who's basically sorted these books out, goes this happened here, but we're not going to allow it to slow down the story now. And it's this is referred to in this book, and then you can go and listen to that one. It's good. It's great.
Yeah. So top three then.
Top three
for the last year, Jay.
Number 3. Yep. End in the Death Part 2.
I'm not surprised. The End in the Death is incredibly popular.
Yeah. Great. Yeah. Right. We've had number 1. We've had number 2. Yeah. So number 2. Yeah. Is End in the Death Part 3.
So all the 3 End of the Death, the probably biggest release of narrative in the longest time, are in the top 10. Yeah. But not number 1.
Literally, those 3 books make up the biggest historical event in all of Warhammer.
Yeah, in the Horsey Heresy.
This thing that happened in the Horus Heresy basically is what the entirety of 40k evolves around. What happened there fashioned everything in the narrative that we have now.
Yep.
Right. So what book is more important than that? Which book has somehow managed to trump like the most important narrative story ever written by Games Workshop?
Oh, I can't answer because I know the answer.
It is.
It's made Joe angry, chat. This made him upset.
So angry.
When I read this out, when I read the article, he swore at me and he just said, "Fuck off." That's all he said.
It is in no way a bad book.
No.
But it does not deserve to be number one in the list, in the top 10 of what some of the books are in there. Right? Number one was The Lion, Son of the Forest.
The thing is, though, right, as a filthy casual narrative person, because I'm not a hardcore narrative person, I don't have anywhere near as much narrative knowledge as you do. As a filthy casual narrative person, I can confirm, I have downloaded and started to listen to Son of the Forest. I have not downloaded or started to listen to any of the End of the Death books.
So I have had since me having my kind of embolism earlier. I was kind of like I understand why, because to really benefit from listening to the End of the Death trilogy, you have to have listened to the other, not all the other books, but a lot of the other books in the Horus Heresy.
Yeah.
So it's an investment of time before you even listen to this trilogy.
It's also, so this is, I'm gonna praise GW a little bit here. That's right. I'm gonna go full simp mode for a brief moment. Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is with The Lion, Son of the Forest, they did this quite well. So GW have a track record of releasing something new in the narrative, writing their own narrative in a codex or similar type publication, doing a fucking terrible job of it, and then the authors out there go, how do we make this cool? 6 months later, a book comes out and it's cool. The Son of the Forest actually came out at roughly, if not the same time, as the model did, when The Lion returned to 40k. So they actually went to an author, he wrote a book, and they managed to get that book out the same time The Lion came out. Now, The Lion's return to 40k, probably one of the biggest narrative arcs that's happened in recent years. I mean, we've had the fall of Cadia and stuff like that, but one of the biggest is a Primarch returning. They release a full-blown narrative book at the same time. I know a lot of people that read or downloaded and listened to that book because it added context to The Lion's return.
So when that book came out, before the model came out, I listened to the Lion Primarch book as well. Mm-hmm. Not the strongest of the Primarch books either.
Descent of Angels?
No. So within the Horus Heresy, there is a Primarch series. So there is a standalone book specifically about the Primarch. Normally, it's like how they were found and how they established their legion and what they did going forward. But if that's already been covered in the other books, then it's normally like a little side piece.
Yeah.
So, like the Lion's kind of origin story was well covered in. Not Descent of Angels, basically. It was well covered, so this is a different one, and it wasn't as strong as the others. But I listened to that one, so like Son of the Forest made me get that book, because I was like, I want to listen to his Heresy book, and then I'll listen to his new one, and then it'll be great. What annoyed me the most about Son of the Forest was they gave him this kind of weird forest walk ability where he just teleports through trees onto different planets. Bugged me slightly. Because it's not a power he's ever had before.
So when I'm praising GW, let me be clear. I didn't finish the book because I didn't think it was that good.
Yeah,
I got halfway through it. There's very few books. I'm terrible for not finishing films. You guys know what I'm like for watching films. Most of the audiobooks I listen to, I get through them and I finish them. Yeah. Genuinely. This is one of those rare books, and I'm a Dark Angels fan. It's one of those rare books where I got halfway through it, and I'm now like, I'm gonna have to start it again and listen to it. I'm currently finishing off Lord of the Rings. But I'm going to start it again because I want to listen to it because it's The Lion. The reason why I got halfway through and stopped is because I got bored. I didn't think it was that exciting a book.
The thing is, though, it was more of a book from the perspective of one of the fallen that hangs around, which I don't mind because...
The reason why I'm praising GW and saying good job GW is simply because the timing in which it came out has probably aided in its sales, both on Audible and as books, and that's probably why it's number one.
Yeah, my biggest gripe with the book, though, is it's not a complete book, right?
What do you mean?
So it tells you he's woken up, he's found some friends, they've gone on a magical journey together. It's like My Little Pony. The power of friendship has fixed the Dark Angels. They're not the Fallen anymore.
My
They're
Little Lion, yeah.
Yeah, My Little Lion. But then it ends, right?
He has deep strike, Travis.
He gets the shield from the. I like the bits where like the Emperor's like a man in a boat just floating around. That was quite good. I enjoyed that bit. But
spoilers, by the way.
There's a man in a boat, right? The bit that annoyed me the most was that it ends and he's still not. He's found by the Blood Angels at the end of the book. I'm going to spoil that for you. He's found by the Blood Angels. Has no other.
We're talking about Black Library books. There's going to be some spoilers today.
Yeah. So, but then it ends. And there's no follow-up
yet.
So but like that they should have followed it up with a second book where he traverses. He spends how the Blood Angels interact with a new Primarch, and then how he is then taken from them to join the Dark Angels, and then eventually fight Angron, fight his other brothers. None of that covered. Yeah, Arc of Omen was the follow-up, but I never got the Arc of Omen book because I didn't want to, because the narrative in it was meh.
Yeah.
I was just Son of the Forest doesn't deserve to be number one. Yeah. I would have been happy for it to be anywhere else in the top 10.
I mean, I can't comment because I haven't listened to it, but I don't feel like it was a strong book if I didn't finish it the first time round.
And was that only? Did they do one for AOS books, or was it just solely?
I don't know.
Let's go to Warhammer Community.
Anyway. Before we do that, I'm going to say a huge, massive thank you and a shout out to the big man himself, John Mercado, who's just come in and gifted 50. When Joe's done this, we'll go into chat. I want to try and not do what we did last week and end up overrunning by 35 minutes whilst we're catching up with chat. Thank you so much, John, for 50 gifted. You're amazing.
You are a hero and a don.
Obviously, yesterday, I missed 2 streams, one on VAG and one on 40k. So the normal 100 members that we got last night, I didn't get.
Yeah.
So if you guys want to make up the sick pay, it'd be appreciated. 165 people watching. If you all gift one, it makes up for it, right?
Yeah.
But also, don't forget, Chat Plays is tonight as well.
Yeah.
And it's Brum and Joe tonight on Chat Plays.
Yeah.
But you're incredible, John. Thank you so much for 50 gifted. There's other people that have also gifted in there as well.
Yeah, so Brandon Leguess has gifted 10 memberships.
You're a legend. Thank you, man. What a hero.
Thank you, Evan Tominello, for 1 gifted membership. And thank you, Dang Skippy, for 5 gifted memberships.
Heroes.
And thank you, Kev Thacker, for 5 gifted memberships.
Oh, wow. So it's 20.
I wonder if he's related to Gazgol.
Like 71 already?
Yeah.
You people are insane.
I did a great joke
so
then.
much. You're amazing. You're incredible. I'll be honest with you, chat, straight up. You, as a chat and a community, have made it recently slightly easier to take a night off or take a day off when I'm not feeling very well. Whereas there was a period of time last year and the year before where I'd have just fought through and kept streaming and then made myself worse. You make it easier. Thank you so much. You're insane and you're incredible.
Yeah. And then I'll go for the super chats now.
Appreciate you.
So thank you, Kazarian. Just finished Black Legion and I'm contemplating the Mike Brooks Orc books next. Yeah.
Just finished which?
Black Legion. I listened to Talon of Horus and Black Legion.
Oh my god! The Dan Abnett ones, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Aaron Dempsey Bowden.
I've listened to those 2 books so many times. I've won awards on Audible app.
I've seen the awards you've won.
Yeah. Yeah. If you like orcs, listen to it.
I've never. There's even orc narrative in Caiaphas Cain, which is a bit meh.
Yeah. The best orc one is the one where he crash lands on Perlia, and then he has to basically fight his way across the planet.
They're just like this weird comedy, like bad guy. I just don't. My grim dark. So narratively speaking, in my grim dark 40k, in my grim dark narrative in general, there's a bunch of stuff that I like. There's some stuff that I don't like. We spoke about this a little bit in the past as well on the Liam and Joe show actually. And when it gets comedic as bad guys and kind of Dick Dastardly twizzle the moustache, I don't like that kind of bad guy.
No.
I'm not a fan. Like, I listen to Lords of Silence, which is the Death Guard, and it's full of nurglings, and they ruin it for me. They don't ruin the book. The book's actually a very good book. The Lords of Silence is a great Death Guard narrative book. Really, if you like Death Guard, it's an incredible read. But the Nurglings ruin it for me a little bit. And then I was listening to the narrative around Mortarion and Gulliman. I can't remember what the narrative was called. It was around the launch of I think it was
It was the Vigilus campaign.
It might have been, yeah. And again, the Nurglings were like, get away with these little farty things. I don't want them. They don't need to exist in my where they had the actual Great Unclean ones attacking the fucking planets and like. I don't like comedy. And when the orcs are like, ha 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 ha, it ruins it. And when you get Beast Arises orcs, these big, terrifying, evil, alien, brutish monsters that can literally pull a human's arm off, that's the kind of bad guys I want. That's the
I've
stuff
never
I like.
seen anyone do, because obviously painting style helps, where has actually done like a menacing orc army, like they're painted in a way to make it look like they're gonna F you up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't mind their vehicles and stuff being a bit bric-a-brac, but I want them to just be terrifying, because orcs, realistically, to a human, would be terrifying.
Yeah.
You're not going to laugh whilst they're ripping you to pieces.
No.
Let's put it that way.
Pretty much.
I don't like the comedic approach. Anyway,
No.
I've not read those orc books, so I can't comment, but Black Legion that he's read is fantastic as a book. It's really, really good.
I love that book.
Even if you don't like Black Legion, actually, Talent of Horus and Black Legion, both by Aaron Dempsey Bowden, both linked books. If you don't like Black Legion and you don't like Chaos and you've never liked Chaos narrative, I recommend those two.
Yeah,
they're really good.
Yeah, because it's not about these men are angry.
No,
they're gonna go and just do bloody blood stuff everywhere.
Dark Imperium series, that's the one. Yeah,
it's all about how this once brotherhood is shattered, and Abaddon's trying to bring it all back together.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's
And they're
very
actually
good.
clever. They always make Chaos Space Marines out to be really stupid, but then this book kind of goes well, actually, the logistics of having to invade the Imperium from somewhere inside the warp is a logistical nightmare, and they do it. So yeah, Legion's great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Travis Coney. I'm going to call you Travis. I'm not going to butcher your last name. The Beckwith novels by Dan Abnett. Incredible.
I've never listened to them. Beckwith is an Inquisitor? Is that right? No?
So Beckwith. So I'm going to go on a journey.
This is the point of this, though.
Right. So Beckwith is a additional character from the Eisenhorn. Eisenhorn is an Inquisitor.
Yep.
Right. And Elizabeth Beckwith is one of his acolytes. She's a psychic gnoll who comes to help him. Right. And then you've got the Ravender series, which is also attached to Eisenhorn, who was his interrogator, who then becomes an Inquisitor. And then the Beckwith books isn't about the first Beckwith. She's like a daughter/clone of her. She's got her own books. How she's she's been trained by a group of people that say they're the Inquisition, and then she joins the Inquisition. It's great, yeah. But I really like them because they're just grim, dark detective stories.
Oh, that sounds cool.
And there's a lot more politicking in it, and there's all how certain parties can't be trusted. It's got fighting in it. It's got big battles. The Eisenhorn trilogy has got Deathwatch Space Marines in it. It's got different alien races. It's got Chaos Space Marines in it. But it's not just all-out battles. It's about him trying to solve crimes. There's even a great bit on a train. It's very much like Death on the Orient Express.
I'm into it.
Yeah.
I'll give them a go at some point.
Any of the Eisenhorn books are incredible.
I started Eisenhorn a while ago.
Did you just say Eisenhorse?
I hope so.
Probably.
Eisenhorse is what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Eisenhorn series is great.
Yeah, I think I've read one of the Eisenhorn books.
Yeah.
The thing is, the thing that I do with audiobooks, I don't know if I'm the only one out there, it'd be interesting. The thing that I do with audiobooks, though, is I'll start a project. So I'll start World Eaters or whatever, or I'll start World Eaters and I'll be like, I'm going to listen to Betrayer. And then I'll listen to Betrayer, and then another project I'll be doing, I don't know, Dark Angels, and I'll pick up Lions of the
It
Forest.
does really help to listen to a book of the army or the project you're doing at the time.
And then I just get super hyped for it, really hyped for it. So the problem with Eisenhorn is that I don't know, I don't feel like I'm gonna ever get to a point where I'm starting an Inquisitor army and then I'm gonna listen to Eisenhorn. So I need to carve out, I listened to the Caiaphas Cain books and I was building my guard force and stuff like that.
The great thing about the Eisenhorn books is if you like Chaos, it's a great book to listen to if you like Chaos, or if you like Deathwatch, to go on a Deathwatch kind of thing. But the thing is, the first Eisenhorn book was written and released for the 56mm or 60mm Inquisitor game that was released 20 years ago.
All right.
So they were like, we need a book about an Inquisitor, and it was so popular, he wrote 2 more, and then it had spin-offs and stuff. So they're just great. And also at the time it was written, because he's done interviews about it where he was like, he had to invent words for things. He had to figure out how things in the 41st millennium work.
Yeah.
Like, what is a name? What's concrete called in the future? Kind of thing. Rockcrete.
Ferrocrete.
Yeah, depends on what planet they're on. Yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
I'll give him a go. I feel like from what you've said, Dave, I should start with the Eisenhorn books first and then move on to.
Yeah, you can literally go Eisenhorn 1, 2, 3, 4, skip Ravener, and listen to the Beckwin books, and it's fine.
But is Ravener worth listening to?
Oh, Ravener's worth listening to as well.
Okay.
Because there's lots of crossover in characters.
Okay. I'm into it. Like it.
You need to go Eisenhorn 1, 2, 3, Ravener 1, 2, 3, Eisenhorn 4. Beckwin books. But the last Beckwin book is the most influential book in the entire series.
Well, I'm trying to get to a point where I actually will put audiobooks on in my office at home and sit there and hobby for a day rather than go, oh, there's something on the screen, I'm distracted now. But also, at the same time, I'm trying to go through the Marvel films because Joe complains at me they don't know enough movies. So I haven't got enough time to do all these things.
Also, not a spoiler, but is a spoiler, End and Death Part 3, Dan Abnett's like, because obviously he's like, I'm in charge of this boat now. He's gone, how do I set up all the lore for all my existing books? I'm going to put it in the End and the Death Part 3. Last 2 chapters is basically him setting up all of his future books and ADB books as well.
I mean, good.
Yeah.
I think I'd be a bit devastated if End of the Death happened and that was like, yeah, cool, we're done.
Yeah. The 4th book, the 4th Eisenhorn books, David Squares, is called Magos. There's Malleus, Hereticus, Xenos, and then the 4th one is called Magos. And Magos is basically where Dan Abnett has done a whole series of novellas, and then what he's done is put them all into a book and then written a narrative to fit them all in together.
That's cool.
And then
Dan Abnett's a fucking wizard, isn't he?
Dan Abnett is the best writer that they have. Right? I absolutely love ADB.
Yeah.
He has written my favourite books.
Yeah.
But in terms of ADB does Space Marines perfectly.
Yes.
Everything that he does about Space Marines is always incredible. And Custodes. Dan Abnett does humans the best.
Yeah.
Out of all of them.
If you look at a book, at the bottom of it says author written by Dan Abnett, ADB, you're probably in for a good time.
Yeah.
Almost definitely. And then if you go on Audible and it's like narrated by Toby Longworth or give me another one.
Oh, you put me on the spot now.
Again,
Gareth Arm. I'll tell you what. I'll go into my Audible.
If it's like written by Dan Abnett or like narrated by Toby Longworth, like that is ear sex right there.
Right. So if I go into my library, which is 106 titles. Richard Reed is in a lot more stuff recently, but sometimes I get a bit bored with him. If he's reading a boring book, I struggle with him.
Who's the guy who did...
Jonathan Keeble.
Oh, Jonathan Keeble.
Jonathan Keeble is the one that does End of the Day. His Space Marine voices are...
Who's the guy who does... who did the Fulgrim book? He was terrible. Dan Abnett and Toby Longworth is a match made in heaven, exactly. Jonathan Keeble, there you go.
It might be Gareth Armstrong.
Yeah, I don't think
he does posh Space Marines.
It might be him. Did he also do one of the Space Wolf books?
I haven't listened to Space Wolf. John Banks is like the younger guy who reads a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he did a lot of Custody stuff, didn't he?
Yeah.
Hang on, I need to find Fulgrim now.
Helen Keeley. Helen Keeley is a female narrator, and her stuff is incredible.
Title details.
She always seems to read books that are in the first person as well.
David Timpson narrated Fulgrim. He was awful, wasn't he? Sorry, David. Didn't like it. Because, they all watch, clearly. Right? But yeah. One thing I will say about, when we talk about books, and I said to you at the start, right, that basically Joe and I mostly consume via Audible. I will go as far as to say, actually, that no matter how good a book is, a bad narrator can murder it.
Oh my God. Right.
I have read a book that I loved and then listened to it and hated it. So like sometimes, as much as I consume all of my books by Audible, there are occasions where I've read them instead, simply because the narrator is just, it's not, I can't.
So there's a guy called Jake Urry, right, who's a narrator, and I got a book called Dark Harvest. I've tried listening to it 10 times, can't get past the first half an hour. The guy is dead inside. And I really like the horror detective story kind of things. That's what I really like. I really like from the first person, like, oh, I'm on this journey and it's going to be horrible, but I have to do this thing. No, I love those kind of books. But he sounds more miserable than the person he's reading about. He didn't want to be at work that day.
No personality?
No.
Does he also run a YouTube channel?
It's all really deadpan, though.
Oh, okay.
Probably should. But narrators make the books at the end of the day.
Amazing. Amazing.
Do you know that Toby Longworth was in Star Wars?
I didn't.
He was. He was one of the chancellors from Naboo. He hangs around with Queen Amidala.
But then I also didn't know that, like, Dan Abnett, like, this is how naive I am. Because I'm like, I read a book by Dan Abnett in the 40K universe. I'm like, oh, he's a 40K narrator. No, he's written this, and this as well.
Yeah,
like,
he does Doctor Who.
Yeah, that's the one.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Doctor Who was the one that someone said, oh, Dan Abnett, he's written Doctor Who. I was like, fuck off. And I looked at it, I was like, oh, he has.
Yeah. There's 2000 AD.
How dare you do anything that's not 40K?
Yeah.
Get out.
He's busy.
Yeah.
He's a busy boy. Yeah. Thank you, Street Spirit. Any of these good on audiobook? I am on day 1 of 10 of a flu vaccine clinical trial and will be guaranteed for and quarantined for the duration. So need entertaining.
First of all, good luck on your quarantine, on your clinical trial. Secondly, honestly, we've gone about this a lot, and it sounds like I'm simping for this a little bit, but honestly, for audiobooks, if you really want entertainment, Kaifas Kane is great. Yeah. Because I find Kaifas Kane novels so easy to listen to. Yeah. And there's a few different voices, which is good as well. It's hard to. Infinite and Divine was great to listen to, which is Necrons, if you like that kind of stuff. Lords of Silence was pretty good. The two that we talked about from ADB, the Chaos ones, it kind of depends on what thing you want to listen to. Yeah,
if you want to keep upbeat, Kaifas Kane. If you want lots of characters, like the Gaunt's Ghost books are incredible.
They're really well narrated as well. Yeah. And you've got all the different accents and stuff, which I really appreciate, the kind of human touch to it.
Yeah. The Black Legion books are great. What I find odd about this top 10, no AOS books got into it.
I'm not surprised though, mate.
I'm not surprised, but I have listened to a lot of the AOS horror books, and I prefer them to the 40k horror books.
I think the thing is with AOS is what's tough with AOS narrative, what's difficult with AOS narrative. I'm not entirely sure they have the kind of author pull that 40k has. I'd like to think, actually, with the way that the AOS universe works and the kind of realms that exist, there is now a ton of creative freedom in the AOS universe. And I feel like they need an ADB or a Dan Abnett to really get hold of that universe and write for it. But I mean, not those two specifically, because those two are typically more sci-fi, but those kind of people, like that kind of author, because I've always found people that have said AOS narrative is really weak. Now, in more recent times, we're on version 3 of AOS right now. You know, it's rumoured that AOS version 4 is coming this year. In more recent times, I feel like the AOS narrative itself has actually got quite strong. And there's times where I've read battle tomes around specific factions. So I've read it for Eisenhorn Deepkin, I've read it for Ossiarch Bone Reapers, and I actually go, this is pretty grim narrative. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. And I think a lot of people just kind of don't give the AOS narrative a try.
No, I find if you want to get into good AOS narrative, you go for stuff that tends to be around the horror series, the Realm of Death, because it really shows you how shit it is. How awful it is to live there.
Yeah, the life, not the book.
Yeah, not the book. The life of living in the realm of Shyish is awful. Yeah. Because basically, when someone dies, the more than likely you're going to come back to life and eat you. Yeah. So whenever someone dies, they have to find out how they died, Will their spirit be upset? And then how do they deal with the body kind of thing. The Venn Dents books, the one about the father-daughter, the Witch Hunter, those 2 books are really good. Or the Genevieve books are really good.
Yeah. I do want to. One of the things I want to... So we're currently going to be using the Odd Tuesday to film a talk show with a guest. You've hopefully seen the Siege one that went out to the public on Saturday. Thank you for all the lovely comments, by the way. I'm glad people have really enjoyed it. Actually, the reverse, where I went to Siege, is out today. They got it out really quick. So there's a couple of podcasts you can listen to there. But what I'd like to do, when we've not got guests, I'm thinking about Liam and Joe's book club, right? And I feel like we should go, right, on the first Tuesday of April, we're going to review the first book of the Horus Heresy, right?
Yeah.
And what we'll do before that episode is we'll both listen to it again.
Yeah.
Like that could be a cool series of. But looking at what we can do in this space and how we can use this space, I'd rather do that series than here's an extra battle report. I think it's more interesting for people.
Yeah. They're talking about Night Lords. The Night Lords. I literally started the Night Lords trilogy again today.
So yeah, Horus Rising on the cards, and then
although everyone's done Horus Rising, haven't they?
But I feel like we should go through the Horus Heresy, all the major novels, all the way through. Because if we're going to do a full series on it, we might as well. There's no point starting and ending the Death Book 1, is there? Because then three episodes done.
Yeah, you do Siege of Terror, I suppose.
We could do Siege of Terror, yeah.
Siege of Terror is great.
Yeah, cool. Anyway, it's a concept for some content.
Yeah,
I'd like to know what you guys think.
And it's great. Thank you. So Street Spirit, the books on the top 10 are all great. To answer your question for your actual original super chat, the Cypher's Kane books are great. I'd listen to those because if you need something to keep you going, it's great. Or the Ghost books. Ghost books are really good.
Yeah.
Or if you want a really intense read, Eisenhorn. Christopher Sanford, we need more Joe reading list content. Answer your question.
It's hard enough of him reading super chats. I don't read a list.
Yeah.
Thanks,
so good.
David, you're a hero.
Thank you, Leaks Feeks. Having no attention span, my favourite short story is The Last Church by Graham McNeil. Help that it's brilliantly written, unlike a few 40k books. And it's like 10 minutes long as well.
I mean, that is a short attention span.
It's literally like the Emperor. I think The Last Church is the Emperor talking to a dying priest.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
There are some great short stories out there. Good ones.
See, I mean, I also suffer leaks with a monumentally short attention span.
Yeah.
I'm sure none of you will be surprised to hear that. Joe most certainly won't be surprised to hear that. But yeah, this is. I think this is one of the reasons why this has become not only my passion but my fucking career. Because this is one of the rare things where me with short attention span has managed to sit and listen to a novel that's 12 hours long.
If you got Audible, you can. They have created like collection, like Space Marine collections. Like here's all the short stories of Raven Guard. Here's all the short stories of Space Wolves, and you can literally just have an audiobook of 10 mini stories, which is really good. And
I've got this is where audiobooks are coming clutch for me because I've got a short attention span. I was driving back from Siege on Tuesday from Essex. I looked at my Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and I was on minute 1,120 of that audiobook, and I was like, and I've got all the way through that.
Yeah.
Mind you, it helps that the more recent ones are narrated by Andy Serkis.
Yeah.
And he does a absolutely fucking incredible job of narrating those.
I was listening to Curse City, which was like, I was like, oh, a nice 9 to 10 hour long book. I've got like 4 hours left. I gave up.
I really
bugs me when it happens.
Need Andy Serkis to start narrating some 40k books. Yeah. He's a 40k fan as well. Yeah. I need him to start. Andy.
Billy Piper's done one.
I don't care about that.
And who's Doctor Who?
David Tennant.
Yeah, he's done one.
The fact that nowadays anyone says who's Doctor Who, everyone just says David Tennant.
Yeah.
Despite the fact there's loads of them.
Christopher Eccleston, was he one?
I don't know. But Andy Serkis, like, I wasn't sold. Like, when I heard that he'd narrated Lord of the Rings, I was like, cool, he'll do the voice of Gollum well, because he was. But he does an incredible job of all the characters. And I've recently found out that he's into like D&D and 40k and stuff. I'm like, get him on.
Yeah, get him on. Do you know who really surprised me as a famous-ish person reading a 40k book?
Eddie.
Eddie can't read.
And he's not famous.
Yeah. was Catherine Tate.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Catherine Tate does the voice for Inquisitor. Oh my God, my brain is just Greyfax.
Okay.
Does the voice of Greyfax, and it's brilliant. It's the Greyfax and Saint Celestine book. It's great. It's basically where
I think I knew that.
it's like where the church basically tries to undo the decree done by Gouge Van Dye.
Somehow I think I knew that she did those
so
books.
that they can start
For some reason.
so they could raise a new a male militia.
Yeah.
Because of the schism within the church, they weren't allowed to raise like an army of men.
Yeah.
So they were like, aha, so this is a battle. And then have an army of women, and they got around it. But now they've got, they're trying to undo it so they can raise their own army. Because they basically go, they've got billions and billions of pilgrims. And the Inquisition are like, no, that's a bad idea. Because you'll be unstoppable.
Cool.
Right then, next one.
There you go. Thanks, Leaks Feeks was your last one.
Yes, thank you, Chaotic Failure. Not listened to many, but Mechanicum is my fave by a country mile.
Which one was Mechanicum?
Mechanicum is about...
Titan Legions.
It's the one that starts off with the Emperor walking around Mars, and then the revolt on Mars that eventually pushes them off.
Okay.
And then the secret talk about the fact that the Void Dragon lives on Mars.
Do you know, like some of the Admech stuff, some of the Mechanicum kind of narrative makes me kind of like this. Mechanicum narrative makes me sad for Mechanicum tabletop. Because Mechanicum narrative can be super fucking cool.
Yeah.
And Mechanicum tabletop is wet fart.
Yeah. I tell you what's a great Mechanicum book is the... my brain is terrible
Use your
today.
words, Joe.
It's the Belisarius Cool book.
Okay.
The Belisarius Cool book is brilliant because they go to the Pharos, which is where the Scythes of the Emperor had basically got wiped out, and they had to go find out why. And he's gone to do it with a bunch of Space Marines. And I like one of my favourite things to start the book is basically he's there talking to his like pet Space Marine, like the original prototype, about which personalities he's going to take with him.
Okay.
Because he split all of his personalities into like USB drives. He's like, oh, I'm going to be fun and rambunctious today and take that with him. But also the thing I like about it is all this Primaris Marines he's got with him hate him.
Yes.
Which I think is a great part of the story that Games Workshop didn't need to put in. But I'm really glad that they did put it in.
The way they write Call as well, because that book is one where he goes to find the Necron technologies. Yeah. And the way they write him is actually very well done, because it's like you're never quite sure whether he's full Imperium or a bit heretical. Yeah. And I quite like that.
There's a bit where he's trying, like part of his personality that is split off that's with Calgar, is not Calgar, with Guilliman, is trying to convince Guilliman to let him create Primaris legions with the Traitor Legions gene seed. It's great. Yeah. Which, let's be honest, every time Games Workshop release a codex or a supplement, they're in there. Yeah. Like they're all, like the Blood Angels 9th edition supplement has got Sons of Horus in it. And then one of the other books has got Emperor's Children in it, and another one's got like Death Guard. It's like, they're not, but they definitely are, kind of thing. Yeah. Kazarian, Betrayer is the GOAT. Biased but true.
I mean, it's a good book.
I've not actually listened to Betrayer. Yeah. World Eaters in Heresy bug me. Not on the cellular level that word bearers do. I'm not going to go into that.
Have you actually not listened to Betrayer?
No.
It's a great book.
I've heard great things about it, but I have said to myself, I have got it on my wish list. After Saturnine, I have put Betrayer down as a list because I don't like because they're just a bit like angry, but the way they represent them in Saturnine is great. What are you doing?
I'm gifting you Betrayer, Joe. Yeah. It's going to annoy me that you haven't listened to Betrayer. Where is it on my list?
Thank you, John McArdle. All of Black Library 40k and 30k fiction can be summed up in 2 words. Fuck Erebus. Fact.
True.
I hate him. I hate Erebus.
How do I How do I live?
You can't send audiobooks to people.
Yes, you can.
You have to buy it and gift it to someone.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Betrayer by Aaron Dempsey Bowden, Joe, as well,
Yeah.
by the way. How do I buy for a person?
Honestly, there's that. Yes, Gatsby. Double Eagle is an incredible book. It's basically the Battle of Britain, but 40k. And also, I do like the crossover between that and the Guns of Tanith, Gaunt's Ghost book as well.
4.8 out of 5 stars with 2,200 reviews, Joe.
Yeah.
I don't know how to gift it to you. I've done it before. I don't know. Oh, chat, help me.
I love how you're talking about books, but it's have you not listened to rather than have you not read. Yeah, we have. Yeah, because I used to read so many books back in the day when I had more time and I wasn't a parent and worked all the time. But like, and also a good thing about audiobooks is you can listen to them whilst you're working or driving. The first book, what was the first Warhammer book you ever read? Whilst you fiddle.
The first
with
Warhammer
yourself?
book I ever read was Path of the Seer.
Really?
Yep.
Mine was Storm of Iron.
I don't know how to gift something to you on the
Storm
on the
of
app.
Iron is the GOAT. It made me a Guard player and an Iron Warriors player for life.
I don't know. I'm going to gift you Betrayer. I just can't work out how to do it on the app right now.
You don't need it. But yeah, I suggest, and what's mad, right? Storm of Iron is one of Games Workshop's best-selling books in the history of all time.
I've not listened or read it.
It's great. It's a great book. It was written obviously years and years and years ago, but they keep re-releasing it because they always put votes out to the community like, oh, what books would you do? Storm of Iron, always in there, every single time.
The risk is if you read or listen to Betrayer now, you'll want to add to the channel World Eaters and run them. I promise you. I promise you. It's an incredible book.
What I would probably do is just add some World Eaters to my Chaos Space Marines.
No.
I'm adding Night Lords at the moment. I got the Forge World Raptors and the Forge World Jump Pack Praetor.
Yeah, well, hopefully that new plastic kit will come sometime in the near future.
Hopefully. Although I went to Forge World and I got this is like months and months and months ago before Christmas. I got the Forge World heads as well, so I could just convert up stuff.
I need to work out how I gift you Betrayer.
The problem is, don't give me too much to listen to because then I'll divert from what I need to do.
Well, you don't need to listen to Night Lord Trilogy again. You've already listened to it. Just listen to Betrayer because it's new.
I need to get the new Bretonnian book as well.
No one cares about that. No one cares.
I have to pay 120 Bretonnian infantry and like 24 horses.
Not a single person in chat cares about listening to Bretonnian narrative. No one cares.
It's great.
Old men on horses with
The
spears.
Fall of
Done.
Altdorf, great
Sounds
Bretonnian
terrible.
narrative.
Betrayer. It's work-based mandated listening now.
Is it now?
Yes.
Is it like a work manual?
Yep. I'm going to put it in the employee's handbook. Point number 1, listen to Betrayer. Point number 2, when you finish that, you'll start to receive your first pay. It's going to go in the employee's handbook.
My first pay.
No, not you. It's too late for you now.
Yeah.
Clearly, it's too late for you.
Thank you, Kev Thacker, or Kev Gadskull Thacker, as his name is now. Does anyone else think the fight between the Emperor and Horus dragged on a bit? Don't worry about mispronouncing my name, Joe. I've been called worse.
Gadskull Thacker?
Kev Gadskull Thacker.
Yeah.
Or Uruk Thacker.
I mean, I'm assuming he's referring to the end of the death. I haven't listened, so I can't say. But Joe can comment.
Well, it's an entire book of them fighting. But the last book is so the thing about the end and the death is that they had to round up near on 20 years worth of narrative in 3 books because obviously there were unresolved storylines that had to be resolved, and obviously, like I said earlier about Cyphers and MacGuffins, they'd written themselves into a corner with some characters and had no way of having to fix it. So they would basically go, Dan Abnett, fix my problem. Do a thing. Do word magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make things better, please. Thank you.
And it does wrap itself up, and people that ended up being part of the final fight made it there through things.
Yeah.
But the battle was great.
Was it but too long? Or not too long?
It wasn't too. It was. Thing is though, because obviously the fight is the whole book, but it's split up. So it goes, they're fighting, and then next chapter, this is taking part somewhere else.
So it's concurrent activity.
Yeah,
kind of
all
that
happening
cool-
at the same time,
that
but not
cool
at the same.
crescendo type.
Yeah, because the best part of the End and Death Part 2 and 3 is Constantine Valdor's part on it, right?
Okay.
Because the whole book is lit because time is stopped on Terra because of the warp saturation, right? This isn't a spoiler. Time is basically all over the place. People can literally travel from parts of the planet in seconds. They just step through a door and they're in somewhere else. And obviously there's these massive battles, these massive fights going on. And at the end of every kind of section that has him in, it goes like 16 seconds into the fight. And then 30 seconds. Like his interaction of the last 2 books is only like a minute and a half.
Okay.
Because the time is all over the place. Just little bits like that. There's like the Mortis book. One of my favourite things is that every chapter ends with a distance to the wall for the Titan legions in kilometres. It's great. So the whole book is just a countdown. Oh, it's great.
Someone's just asked a question. I'm going to get the answer to it now.
What's this?
When did Horus Rising come out? When was it? Horus Rising.
I was 18, and I remember when I worked at Butlins. So this would have been 2005-ish.
25th of April, 2006. So it has in fact been out for basically 18 years. So yes, David, unfortunately nearly 20 years. Sorry to make you feel old.
Yeah. I remember being on my lunch break at Butlins reading it, kind of thing.
I think it was 2006 first book. Yeah, there you go. So John McCarthy says 2006. So basically 20 years. 18 years Horus Heresy has been out for.
Yeah.
And what an incredible fucking series it is.
Patrick McCarthy says, I wish The Last Chances had a reprint. Yes. The Last Chances books are brilliant. And they've not made it onto audio either.
Yeah. Yet.
You can't get hold of them.
It's like the Eldar Path books. So the Path of the Seer, Path of the Warrior, Path of the Ranger, the Path of the Outcast, a great trilogy. One of the most interesting trilogies I've ever read actually, because they literally are the same story, but from 3 different people's perspectives.
Yeah.
They did it with the Drukhari as well. They did Path of the Kabbalite or whatever. Not on Audible. And I'm like, I really want to listen to them again. I want to read them again, but I haven't got time to read, so I want to listen to them, and they're not on Audible. That makes me sad.
There's lots of books that need to be released on audiobook or re-released that haven't got there yet from the part. Like, they need to catch up.
Yeah.
There's a great book trilogy by Henry Zhao, where one book's about an Inquisitor, one's about Chaos Space Marine faction, and one's about an Imperial Guard Riverine detachment.
I will offer Games Workshop. I have good microphones. I can narrate audiobooks.
Yeah.
For a small fee.
Yeah.
I can narrate audiobooks for you. I have a listenable voice, I feel.
But yeah. The battle between Horus and the Emperor goes on for a bit, considering the fight between Horus and Sanguinius goes on for like half a book.
Yeah. Cool. Anyway,
I was more distraught by that than the fight between them.
Thank you for the super chat, you're your hero.
It emotionally damaged me. Thank you, Demigorgon, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Street Spirit, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Plague of Shadows, for 1 gifted membership. I put a bit more emphasis on that. Thank you, Sean Williams, for 1 gifted membership. And then we're into...
So that puts us on 77 gifted memberships, chat.
I know, right?
Whilst I also had a night off yesterday, just to sit there and
202 people watching and only 88 likes.
Yeah, I'll press the button again. Ready? Click, click, ding.
Thank you, Dave B. What book is the book to introduce a noob to 40k?
That's not an easy one. Into 40k specifically.
Storm of Iron.
Really? For 40k?
Storm of Iron's got good Space Marines, bad Space Marines. It's got Imperial Guard. It's got Chaos Cultists. It's got tanks. It's got Commissars. It's got everything. Space.
Okay.
Or... I'd say that it depends on the person as well. Like, it depends on what the kind of things that they like. If you were like, they really like detective stories, then you go for it. They really like action. They really like horror. Like, find out what they like personally and there will be a Warhammer book.
Yeah.
If you message me and go, they really like this, and I'll be like, this book is
The
great.
difficulty I have with, if you're introducing someone to 40k, that's really hard because a lot of books have assumed knowledge.
So Adam says Necropolis. Necropolis is my favourite Gaunt's Ghost book, but you need to listen to the first book first.
Hell's Reach is a strong
Hell's Reach is
contender.
incredible.
Is a strong,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, there's a little part of me that's like, I wish there was like, I wish that what actually existed was an actual intro to 40k like background because like I feel like the rule book does.
There's
it
the
quite
kids'
well.
books.
The rule book.
Necron Warrior.
The rule book does it quite well, where it kind of sets the scene of the grim, dark, far future.
Yeah.
But you don't really have that in any other like. I don't know. It's difficult. It's difficult. Like if someone was to say, "I want to start reading 40k narrative," which is book one? Where do you actually start?
Yeah.
Like I mean, this is something that would be. So the article today is cool about the top 10 books for the last year, but it would be cool if GW actually released a thing that said, "Hey, you want to get into our narrative?" Like with the Amazon TV deal coming as well.
Yeah.
This is definitely something they should do. They should definitely release a guide, like a beginner's guide into the world of 40k. Like here's where we think you should start to kind of understand the narrative, the galaxy. Like that's a really strong thing to do.
I tell you what, the first, obviously, if you don't read them in order, if you have no concept, the first Beckwin book is brilliant because she's a young woman who's been trained by an establishment and she is learning, like you learn everything with her.
Yeah.
She's learning everything for the first time, kind of thing. So shit's happening around her.
Shit, son.
Shit's going on. And she kind of has to deal with it and figure it out herself.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
Okay.
Obviously, at the end of the second book, they're like, this is this. And I read it, and I was like, oh my God. But for them, they'll be like, oh. But then, but the thing is, though, the Beckwin books also have an explanation of stuff that's happened in the past or why things are the way that they are.
This is part of the problem. I feel like a lot of the 40k narrative, one has a degree of assumed knowledge, and two, it kind of leans into you already having an interest in that faction or something.
Yeah.
And so if we had GW kind of guides for start here to learn about what it is to be because I feel like if it was me, I would want to advise a person to first of all find a narrative that kind of sets the scene of the galaxy to a human.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you would expand into other and I reckon you could do little trees. Interested in Xenos, go down this route. Yeah. Interested in Chaos, go down this route. Like that's what you could.
Yeah, the first Cypher's Kane book is good because he's dead.
I feel like the first Cypher's Kane book also doesn't typically need too much assumed knowledge as well, which is quite nice.
If they do a good job of filling in the blanks on those ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then what happens is if he says something, Amberly, who's like the iterator of the book, she'll drop in and goes, "This is this.
Yeah.
This is why he said this.
Yeah.
This exists because of this."
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
We are 100% simping for Cypher's Kane today.
Yeah. That was Dave B, wasn't it? Thank you, Grimwitch Bun. Says, just finished Penitent. The ending has me so excited with the potential. If it has it's not a trick. Penitent is the second Beckwin book.
Is it?
It's mad good. I don't want to spoil it for people because the ending of Penitent affects the narrative of 40k so much.
So don't. Okay.
I'm not going to spoil it.
Yeah.
Because obviously now he's finished End of the Death. He'll probably release the third book, and then obviously I hope that when he does that, the repercussions within the actual game in terms of model releases becomes massive.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, I like to think that GW and people like Dan Abnett and ADB are constantly talking to each other to perhaps give him something to write about and vice versa, you know. Yeah. For sure.
Thank you. And Lutanaru. Ulahunaru.
I've been waiting for this because I saw what the super chat said.
Alana Rao.
You right? You having a stroke there, Joe? Old Rana Rua, is that right?
Old Banana Hana Rao.
Old Banana Rama?
Yeah. Thank you for the one gifted membership. Thank you, Dang Skippy.
But the reason why I laughed is because after they gifted that membership, they literally wrote in chat, just gifted so I can get Joe to read my name out.
Yeah. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Dang Skippy. He says, Joe, Fall of Cadia is what you asked for, actually about the fighting. I liked it, but it's a beach read, not fancy. Do you think The End and the Death Part 3 got fewer votes because the storytelling got a bit weird? I think The End and the Death got less in the, like I said earlier, that if you've not read any of the other heresy books, people might not have got it because of you need to know what's happened before. So if you haven't listened to all the heresy books, you kind of want to listen to the Siege of Terror first before you get The End and the Death. Also, I don't worry. I just think that The End and the Death 3 was surrounded by a vast quantity of bad press because of the Scalper scandal.
Oh, so nothing to do with the actual narrative?
Nothing to do with the actual narrative, nothing about the quality of the book, but I think outwardly, if you were like, oh, I don't want to get it because Games Workshop supports scalpers, that kind of thing, all that kind of stuff was going around. They don't support scalpers, but it was like we're releasing it, we've taken it back, we've released it, we've cancelled orders, we've released it. There was the only thing that people knew about The End and the Death at the time was the fact that, like, of scalpers. What's this?
Frederick, they're obviously not talking to each other. Case in point, amazing characters in Black Legion books. What we get? Aardvark Worldbringer, cartoon moustache, twinner extraordinaire.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yes. Also, like I said earlier, the storytelling got a bit weird where they had to kind of fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
And put people places. I really, really liked it. Obviously, they had, like, if you think, all right, you need to remember with Horus Heresy in general, Horus Heresy wasn't a game 20 plus years ago. What there was the game Titanicus.
Yeah.
An entire Horus Heresy then was a paragraph on the side of a page. And then they basically made that its own thing.
Yeah.
Which is mad. Yeah, it was a bit, it got a bit wordy at the end. It wasn't for me. It was read to me by a sultry voiced man.
Oh,
Thank
God.
you, Alex Gowerley. Working through all the books on Audible, just about finished Nemesis. I love how listening to some books play out in your mind as a film.
Yeah.
Some books are very
But
good.
I mean, that's the whole point. This is one of the... This is a concern, slightly, with the Amazon TV series or film series or whatever it is that they're making with Amazon. But also, it's something that I'm excited about. The beauty, I think celebrating World Book Day, all joking aside, is worth doing. The beauty with narrative, with books in general, with storytelling, specifically the written word rather than film, is that when you read it, or even when it's read to you, the author does this on purpose. The author tries to paint a picture. And it's quite common that you can take 10 people that listen to or read the same book, and they'll have a similar picture because the author has painted that picture, but you can guarantee that not one single one of them will be the same as the person next to them. It's almost guaranteed. This is one of the beautiful things about written word, about authors and about narration in general. So when we both, in the near future, for example, listen to Horus Rising again or read Horus Rising, we come here to talk about it, both of us will see characters or see settings slightly differently.
Yeah.
We just will. And that's one of the things I love about books in general, because it's your imagination. Although it's the author's word and the author's imagination, it definitely intertwines with your imagination to create this thing, right? Which I think is incredible. When it goes to television, I have often found that if you read the book before you watch the film is often quite disappointing. If you watch the film before you read the book, what you'll do naturally is you'll envisage a character in the book because the film's already showed you what you look like. And I think that's a little bit sad, simply because that's not your imagination then. If you read Lord of the Rings, after watching the film, Frodo will look like Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
And Gandalf will look like Ian McKellen. That's just the facts of it.
Yeah.
You can't help it. You've seen the film, so the second you read the book or the second you listen to the book, you'll instantly make that connection because someone's already shown you what Frodo looks like.
Yeah.
If, however, you read the book first, I read the books before I watched the films, the first book specifically, and I'm like, the characters didn't quite match for me to start with.
No.
It just didn't. But that's because I'd read the book first. That being said, I love the Lord of the Rings film series. I've watched them loads of times.
Yeah.
And this is my minor, tiny concern with Amazon when they come out and if they make things that already exist, if they make Caiaphas Cain, I've got it in my head roughly what I think Caiaphas Cain looks like.
Yeah.
And it might nothing like that, and I might struggle to then connect with the TV series.
I think the good thing that we do have is that with the narrative about envisioning stuff in your head is that we do have other stuff to support it. Like we have terrain, so that tells us what buildings look like. We have computer games. We have already established things that help us know what things are going to be. Like someone said there, like that Amazon killed the Wheel of Time books and stuff. I don't think it's Amazon specifically, it's the directors of things and the producers who are involved with the making of stuff on Amazon. Because I've not touched Wheel of Time, but I watched Jack Reacher, I watched Jack Ryan, I watched The Boys, I watched The Walking Dead stuff. Like I watch stuff on Amazon that's made by Amazon. I really like Vox Machina. There's lots of shows I've watched that have been made specifically Amazon, and they've been incredible.
Yeah,
like
they've definitely had some swing and misses.
The Reacher and the Ryan stuff has been received incredibly well, and they're incredibly true to the books and the stories. I've never heard anything bad about it. Everyone that watches The Boys says it's incredible, right? So I think, and obviously Henry Carville has said, or Carvel, depending on where you're from, has said that they're going to stay as true to the books as possible. And this is a man who left his own project on Netflix because they weren't staying true to the books, right? And he was getting in trouble, and he had a bad reputation on the sets of The Witcher because he was like, no, my character wouldn't do that, or her character wouldn't do that because that's not what they do in the books and in the games, kind of thing. And they were like, you're a troublemaker, stop making issues for us. So that if you've got a man like that in charge of a narrative that we love, I don't see that as a negative. I don't see bad things coming from it.
No, I think it will go well. This is one of the, like I said, it's one of the things that I think is glorious about books in general. And one of the reasons why books are so popular and so lovely, because you do create this picture in your own mind as to what this person looks like, or what the setting looks like. Cornet Ed said that Viggo Mortensen was exactly how he envisaged Aragorn. And that's also one of those. That's also a wonderful moment when something goes to television and you're like, that is what I thought it would look like. Is also a wonderful moment. But it's interesting, isn't it? That I think a lot of us make an assumption, and I've had experience where you talk to people about a book or something and you go, I didn't think it was like that. I thought it was like this, and I think that's wonderful. So hopefully the 40k narrative, the books in general, just never stop.
Also some people are just really happy with it. Like I read as a kid, I read all the Harry Potter books, and then the films came out, and there was stuff missing. But I fucking love Harry Potter now. I love watching those films. They're great. I don't care that they're different. But I think it's all a case of, at the end of the day, as long as it's made well. That's all I care about.
Yeah. There was when the Lord of the Rings films came out, the Lord of the Rings fan base, a lot of them went mental because of the amount of stuff they'd removed to make the films work.
Yeah.
I wasn't one of those people.
Yeah.
And I noticed that big arcs in the story, big parts of the story were missing, and certain parts of the story which take fucking hours and pages and pages and pages were done in 5 minutes. And certain phrases are just in completely different parts. Don't care. The films are done well.
Yeah.
It's fine. It works. It makes sense for television. It works. It's great. But yeah, I find, I can't remember why we started talking about this particular super chat, but I find I often prefer to read the book before the film.
Oh, it's because he basically says that he likes how reading it is like a film.
So that being said, we've already discussed this anyway. I really hope Amazon just make something new and unique and don't try and recreate a book. But I think they probably will try and recreate a book. I just hope it's one that I've read before. Yeah. And if they dropped a film, say they dropped a film, Betrayer, right? Yeah. And I was in your shoes, I want to listen to it or watch it or read it, before I watched it.
Yeah.
I'd rather do it that way around. Yeah. If I'm honest, but because I'm the same. I like the fact that you have these little like sets in your mind when you're reading a specific part of the story. You have this image of epicness. There was a book I read a while ago. And it was a Dark Angels book, and there was a Raven thing, and they were racing through this like structure, and it was I could see the bikes, like it was incredible in my mind, And I'm glad I read that first before I ever try and watch someone try and recreate that with stuntmen and motorbikes for Ravenwing. It was great. And I love the way that we can picture these things sometimes. So I agree with you.
Thank you. Kazarian. My favourite non-40k is Stephen Saville's Vampire Wars trilogy about the Von Carsteins in fantasy. Briarwoods from CR are basically Vadant and Isabella. From CR are basically Vlad and Isabella. 2008, so a bit outside the remit of the top 10.
This is why Joe can't do audiobooks. He can't read a super chat to you, so it makes any sense. I'd lost that halfway through.
Basically, he likes the Vampire Wars. The Briarwoods are also in Vox Machina, so they've renewed them basically.
Okay.
Vox Machina for me, basically the TV show on Amazon, basically went, Joe, you're doing Soulblight Gravelords now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you watch the TV series...
I mean, that's not hard, though, Joe.
Yeah.
Any narrative book you read in the 40k universe, I'm doing Night Lords now. I'm doing Guard now. I'm doing...
I've always been a Night Lords player, despite what history says. Always. I've owned the models.
I don't really know. Black Library is Black Library, right? Black Library covered fantasy. It covers Age of Sigmar. It will cover Old World, which is still
Critical
fantasy.
Role. Okay.
It covers 40k. It covers 30k. If it's not 30k, 40k, if it's not sci-fi for Black Library, I basically don't know it. I've read the narrative behind the Eisenhorn Deepkin in their codex. I've read the narrative behind the Ossiarch Bone Reapers in their codex. That's a couple of AOS novels I've started to listen to, and I've really struggled to get into them. Despite the fact I'm typically more of a fantasy person than a sci-fi person.
I think you would enjoy the Vendence books.
Okay.
Or the vampire ones. Any vampire ones they've done for the horror series are brilliant.
Okay.
Just because it's just awful to me.
Maybe I'll give them a go, but the way I look at it at the moment is I've still got a sea of sci-fi books to get through that I'd rather listen to or read before I touch on Sigmar.
There was an AOS book I listened to recently.
Yeah.
Which went in a completely different direction to what I thought it was going to be. Where is it? Where are you?
Where are you? Great song.
Yeah.
And I'm so sorry.
I can't.
They don't want me to keep singing, Joe. You need to find it.
It's somewhere.
I cannot eat.
Is it Hallow?
Sleep tonight.
It's not. It's part of the Gothgall Hollow series about an evil knitting needle.
Oh, okay. What?
Exactly.
Okay, that wasn't what I thought you were going to say.
Honestly, right? It's like something. It was like something straight out of the Goosebumps books.
Okay.
But it was incredible. I was like, I don't know where this is going next.
Beautiful.
It was great.
Still on 77 members, by the way, chat. Just saying, throwing it out there.
Thank you, John McArdle.
23 to go.
Jesus Christ, Joe. You have to read Betrayer now, today, this minute, for fuck's sake. What's wrong with you? I mean, I'll get it. I'll sort it out.
Yeah, read the next one as well, though.
All right. Jesus Christ, Liam, what is wrong with you? You have to read Storm of Iron now, today, this minute. For fuck's sake, what's wrong with you? Storm of Iron.
I appreciated them when they came through.
Yeah, is so good.
I went and saw Blink live, Lightning Creek, by the way, in November in Birmingham. It was fucking incredible, by the way. Amazing. Completely separate story because this is live music rather than... Yeah, I had that experience recently. Incredible. Carry on. Storm of Iron is... I didn't even know it was a book until today.
Basically, it's Iron Warriors attacking a Imperial Fist fortress held by Guard, and the fortress was to get to their Genesteed, which was originally created by Iron Warriors. Great book.
Okay, cool.
And it's got a lot of Iron Warriors characters from the Heresy books.
Sounds like I'd enjoy it. I'll probably stick it on the to-read list.
Guardsmen getting murdered as well. Yeah.
Exclamation mark gift.
Titans.
Exclamation mark member.
Diaz Iris is there, who is a Emperor-class Titan.
Oh.
Who fought on Terror on the Siege
Diaz
of Terror.
Saray.
Yeah. Iris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all work out how we pronounce things differently by reading books as well, which is amazing.
Thank you, John McArdle. Check out Heresy Thursday. Shardrak Medusan. finally got a model.
Yeah.
Did he?
Yeah. Oh, look, he can't wait, Joe. He has to go and look straight away. We can just look off camera.
Well, no, we'll do it now. He's super chatted enough.
I mean, he has, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
There's a new Dawnbringer's book.
The rest of you, though, we're still missing our 23 members. Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
Heresy. Shard reduce. Oh, he's nice.
Exclamation mark gift.
The only thing that upsets me about the Horus Heresy character things that they're doing now, right? And they are lovely. They are beautiful models. The one thing that slightly annoys me is that the characters, they've gone away from the tactical rocks.
Why has he got a cum face? And a very Brom haircut.
Maybe he's trying to do a fart. You know when you have to filter a fart?
He's got Look at that face, Joe. You tell me. Like, he looks like a man who walks around Germany doing a lot of high fives.
Brom's got a poster of him somewhere. Look, he is a beautiful model. He is lovely. But I feel like because they released one for the Sons of Horus the other day, they've got no tactical rocks. They're not being heroic anymore.
Why do you want tactical? I don't want tactical rocks.
I want my heroes to look like heroes.
Yeah, but I want to do that by putting them on big, fancy custom bases rather than
with big rocks.
No, I don't want to cut rocks.
You don't want them to bring their own rocks. You want to give them your own rock. Is what you're saying?
He's aiming, you bum.
Yeah. Right. Do you know what? He wouldn't have to pull that face if he was wearing his helmet.
He's clenching.
Because his helmet does all the aiming for him. He can have both eyes open then.
It's gas. He's got wind. He's got Space Marine wind.
Well, no, he's trying not to poo when he farts. He's filtering.
I can believe that because I've definitely seen you pull that same face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave B. But no, that is a lovely model. I was looking at doing Shattered Legion for Heresy because I feel like it'd just be easier.
Yeah.
Just because for me, who likes painting lots of different Space Marines, I could paint 10 of each Legion and then mix the squads up.
I really hated the Shattered Legion World Eater.
He's not a great model.
It didn't look good. The broken armour looked really badly done.
The issue with him, right, is they've not done it before and they've not released any other, like a squad of models with damaged armour.
Yeah.
Why is he the only Space Marine that's ever had battle damaged armour?
Yeah.
Madness.
Absolute madness.
Thank you, Dave B. Fireside chats with Joe intro to 40k Joe Cannonry.
Joe Canori.
Joe Canori. Oh, yeah, that makes more sense.
It's a good job someone reads these things to you, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not so much on the spot when I try and read books myself.
No.
There was a great TV series called The Storyteller, which is John Hurt sat down telling stories. I only ever watched one. It was super weird. It was basically, who was the guy that sung Crocodile Boots? Crocodile Boots. Jimmy Nail? It's basically a story about him who's got a magical sack. And he's like, get in my sack. And whenever he tells to get into his sack, he just gets sucked into his sack. There's like goblins and stuff.
It's
real.
Is this a website you can watch?
No, YouTube, John Hurt, Storyteller.
Right, okay.
It's real, I didn't dream it.
But I do.
Jimmy Nail.
I still feel like it's a good series.
Yeah. Well, Jimmy Nail?
No, us talking about books, you clown.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jimmy Nail kind of looked like Bronn from Game of Thrones. Who's the best? Bronn, who's the best character?
Yeah, not Brom, who's not the best character, but Bronn.
Yeah, Bronn. Do you think Bronn is the only character in Game of Thrones to actually have a good ending?
Do you think Bronn is the only character in Game of Thrones who most people just kind of like all the way through?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's like an acceptable dickhead, isn't he?
Yeah. Because like most characters in Game of Thrones, everyone at some point is like, they're being an arsehole, they're cool.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe Arya. No, I think even her, like at some point you're like, ugh.
Yeah, like Sansa, right? Anything to do with Sansa Stark for the first 3 series is boring.
Oh, it's terrible.
I tried reading the books with her.
Yeah.
Like her mum, the bit where they're just in Winterfell just mooching around, I'm like, oh my God, this is so boring. No wonder it took him 12 years to write one book. Because even he was bored about writing about them.
Jo only got interested when she came of legal age. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. Thank you, Peter Hudson. I'd pay to listen to Joe listening to Bretonian law audiobooks whilst painting.
That's a whole new ASMR series coming soon.
Yeah.
Which has got one microphone and camera on Joe, building models, listening to audiobooks.
I need to get the Lords of the Lance audiobook. But if you want a good Bretonian book, The Fall of Altdorf's good. The best thing about The Fall of Altdorf is Vlad, because it's basically Karos rampaging across the old world to destroy it, right? So Vlad, with his undead, are trying to help the humans, but obviously he's not told the humans he's trying to help. So there's these times where all these Empire and Bretonians like fighting chaos, and then the undead turn up and the humans run away. Because they're like, oh no, a third army to deal with. And Vlad's like, no, stop. Great. Obviously it's more like serious in the books. He's like, no. It's like that end of Titanic when Rose is on the boat. Help!
On second thoughts, chat, I don't think this ASMR series is a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
She killed Jack. There was room for 2 on that.
How long you got? How many we got to go? How many people to go, Joe?
2.
2. We're still waiting for 23 members as well.
Well, sounds like you on a Saturday night. It's like, I wanted 100 members tonight.
Wow.
Thank you, Adrian. First book I think should be Inquisitor Eisenhorn book is great.
Yeah.
There's just so many good books out there. There's some terrible books out there, but there's so many good books out there.
I don't even think the terrible books are terrible. I just don't think they're as good as the really good ones, and I think that's the problem.
Yeah.
But okay, on the spot then.
I remember like there was one I read where there was like the dreadnought stomped forward and fired its assault cannons, shooting lasers everywhere, and I was like, no. Assault cannon bullets.
Yeah, but is there actually a bad book that you've listened to or read? Hey, like, if I had to put you on the spot right now, and I'm not talking about your least favourite, in the 40k or 30k sphere at least, is there a bad book that you've not liked?
I've not liked.
Yeah, so it's bad enough that you've not enjoyed the book. You think it's a bad book, and this is why I'm differentiating between least favourite to bad, because it can be least favourite and still be good.
I do think Cypher is a bad book.
Oh, really?
I think it's a bad book. I think the premise.
The one that came 10th?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Okay.
It's a great idea, poorly executed.
Okay.
Right. Because the idea of what Cypher is and what he should be within 40k, within the narrative, and what he represents, they completely just undo all of that in one book.
Okay. Coroner Ed says the one that I didn't like the most, Fulgrim.
I fucking loved Fulgrim.
Did you?
Fulgrim is a great book.
I think it's a bad book. But then I will also caveat this with I listened to it rather than read it, and the narrator pissed me off.
I know what is a terrible book. The worst book. The book that I never finished was Burning of Prospero.
Okay.
Right? Because Thousand Suns was incredible.
Thousand Sun was good, yeah.
Thousand Suns was great, and then you've got Burning of Prospero, which is the exact same book from Space Wolves perception, written by someone completely different.
Yeah.
They should have done both books by the same person.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And the guy who wrote the Space Wolves, I don't know, he was on something.
I still didn't think Fulgrim was a good book.
I'm
going to add the caveat that the narrator didn't help, but even that aside, one of the reasons why the narrator didn't help was because all I could hear constantly every third word was the word perfection, and that's an author problem. He didn't chuck in extra words there; he overused that word far too much to start with.
I've said this in other ones before. The ones you need to check out for in a lot of books nowadays, the 40k is like a drinking game now, is the word Gestalt and staccato.
Staccato, definitely.
Staccato. The thing is, though, it ruined a lot of 40k books for me in the same way that I ruined Muse, the band, for myself. Because Matt Bellamy, who sings for Muse, when he sings, he goes, and you can really hear him breathe in. And like that happened to me when I was in college. Someone would point it out to me, ruin me the rest of my life. Because all I can hear now is...
Filming pre-recorded battle reports with Brom is what ruined Brom for me.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because when I first filmed it with lapel mics, because not everyone just likes to use phone audio, because some people like to be professional, I put headphones on and listened to the recording. All I could hear was his nose whistle as he stood there breathing. And so I had to work really hard to edit out the nose whistle. And then the next time I was in his company, all I could hear was a nose whistle.
Meeting Eddie is what ruined Eddie for me.
Fair. Okay, cool. Yeah. We still got 22 members to go.
I
don't normally set the target on the Liam and Joe show, but I was off last night.
Have you had any books surprise you that you didn't think were going to be any good and turned out to be great? We have still got some super chats.
I'm going to be honest with you. The first 3 books of the Horus Heresy, I put off reading them for ages because I started consuming 40k narrative. I didn't start off consuming the Horus Heresy. I started off with 40k narrative because the first game I got involved in was 40k. I was listening to 40k books or reading 40k books. And I kept getting pushed to start the Horus Heresy. And I was like, I'm not interested. I don't care about Space Marines versus Space Marines. I don't care. And I actually read, not even listened to, I read Horus Rising, Galaxy in Flames, and False Gods.
Yeah.
And I couldn't put them down. And I was genuinely surprised because I thought I was going to hate it. Because when I started in 40k in general as well, this is pivoting really hard lately, actually, for me personally. But when I started in 40k, I wasn't one of those people that liked Space Marines. I wasn't a person who cared about Space Marine hype. I know they've always been the poster boy. I was mostly a Xenos fan. For Loyalists, I only cared about the Guard, and I really love fucking Chaos.
Yeah.
But I didn't care about just Space Marines. So the Horus Heresy was like, do I care about all this? I didn't quite realise the depth of the narrative of how many books there were. And when I started Horus Rising, and I went, and just the first part, right? Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't. I mean, it's been out for 18 fucking years, so tough. When it starts, he's telling the story, it starts off with, I remember when Horus slew the Emperor.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
It was just brilliantly done.
Yeah.
And those 3 books, genuinely really surprised me because I thought they were going to be terrible and I couldn't put them down, all 3 of them. And it was, I will even extend that to, I read Flight of the Eisenstein, book 4. It's only when I got to Fulgrim where I struggled. Yeah. Genuinely.
Well, I found, because Fulgrim, I hated Emperor's Children before. They were, for me, the moustache twiddlers, the cocksword people, you know. But then I listened to that and I was like, I really like them now. I always hated Lucius as a character. He's so annoying, but Fulgrim really brought it around for me because it showed off that there were good Emperor's Children. There were ones who were like, this isn't for me.
Yeah. I also, another one that massively surprised me was Dark Imperium, actually.
Yeah. Because
I'm like, fuck Ultramarines, they're boring, and Gulliman's boring. And he actually had some teeth in that book.
Yeah.
And actually, as a Chaos person, I kind of hated the way they wrote Mortarion and kind of liked the way they wrote Gulliman, which was not the way around I expected it to be.
What I was expecting as well was Deliverance Lost.
Okay.
Which is the Raven Guard. I was like one of those, Raven Guard, they're a bit boring, they're a bit emo. And then I did Deliverance Lost, and only because I really liked Alpha Legion. And then I was like, I love Raven Guard now. Raven Guard are cool as shit.
Which is the one, is it Mechanicum? No. Which is the one where the Titan Legions fighting each other?
Mechanicum, I think.
Is it Mechanicum?
And there's the Beta Garmin one, which is but that comes much later.
Yeah, I think it might be Mechanicum with the Titan Legions fighting each other and the assassin in the temple. That was another book where I was like, Titans on Titans, it doesn't, Mechanicum, I'm not that bothered. And I finished it, because for the longest time, Winter said, you need to read Mechanicum. And I finished the book and I went to him and I was like, oh my God, that was incredible.
But the one heresy book I've listened to the most, which I had no real intention of listening to, but I was collecting Custodes at the time. I remember this is The Master of Mankind.
Okay.
Because it's about Custodes, and I was like, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it's like a standard.
Oh, why not?
Literally, I've listened to it a million times.
Master of Mankind.
Master of Mankind.
Actually, a book I've not read. I heard good things about it.
Perfection.
You can't use
Every
that word.
part
I
of
told you
it
about that word.
Was perfect. You know that meme from The Boys?
Yeah.
Perfection. Down to the tiniest little detail. Perfection.
First 3 of the Horus Heresy are the best. It's all downhill from there. I mean, I'm not entirely in disagreement.
Yeah, because there's a bit where one of the Custodes has an interaction with the Emperor, and how why did you're supposed to know everything. How did you not foresee that any of this was going to happen?
Yeah.
And how the Emperor ADB describes how the Emperor's foresight works and how you literally can't plan because other people affect it was great. And how Custodes are written are great. And how it also helps that it's got Drachnine in it as well.
Yeah, of course.
But
A big Joe fan.
just great.
Yeah.
It's just you don't even have to listen to the other. Magnus
Did nothing wrong.
did nothing wrong.
Nothing.
He got himself into the throne room, right? Because in the Thousand Sons book, he does it, doesn't he?
Yep.
Right. You know it's happened, so you just listen. You can just listen to Master of Mankind now, and it has no effect on anything else that you've listened to.
Yeah.
It's great.
Meet Swords and Your Hero. 21 to go. Just 21 members to go.
But the problem is, every time I listen to it,
He didn't get the song.
I got 21 seconds to go.
21 members to go.
The problem is, every time I listen to it, I'm like, I want to do Custodes again now.
Yeah.
But the problem is, Brom's got Custodes.
Yeah. Paddy's
Paddy's got Custodes.
Yeah.
And I gave them all of my Custodes.
Yeah.
I had
We don't want to be custodians.
I
Joe.
had so many unbuilt Custodes. I had the Terminators, I had the Jumpy Boys,
Joe.
I had the Bikey Boys.
We don't want to do custodians, Joe. We don't want to do custodians. We're interesting people playing this game.
know, but-
We don't want to do custodians, all right? We don't. We do more interesting armies than custodians.
We do.
Yeah, cool.
Maybe another time. Thank you. Crumpets Panda. With the benefit of hindsight, if you were told to remake the Horus Heresy book series from start to end, how many books would it be?
It's hard to answer.
The problem with the Horus Heresy series, that's not a problem, it's a good problem to have, is that there are 18 legions, right? And within those legions are many, many characters who have vast historical accuracy within 40k, future history, as it were. So Lucius, if you think about all of the Chaos characters that exist now, apart from Huron Blackheart, were in Heresy. Right?
Yeah.
And people want to know about them. People want to know what they did to get where they are now. They were good guys who became bad guys, right?
The backstory.
The backstory. If you think the Horus Heresy is the origin story of Abaddon,
Yeah.
right? From book 1 all the way to End and Death Part 3, that is why Abaddon is the way he is now.
So I've spoken to you about this before, and I'll say, well, you can read this. You can skip that one. Doesn't really matter. It's the main story. Read this. I'm like, you can do that. There are definitely books in the series that you could skip, and it doesn't impact the narrative. And therefore, if you take that into consideration, arguably you could lose that book, and it wouldn't make a massive difference. But the problem is that some of those books, skip Fulgrim if you want. You don't need it for the story. One of the things I was told. You can skip Fulgrim. I'm like, yeah, but if you're an Emperor's Children fan, you don't want to skip Fulgrim. So if I'm honest with you, I don't think. He's just said about how bloated. I actually quite like the bloat. I like the fact there's so much to it.
The thing is, though, if for instance, right, you only like White Scars, right? White Scars is the only Space Marine army that you like, right? So you want to have as many White Scars books as possible, surely, right?
Yeah, of course.
But then there's gonna be someone who only likes Night Lords.
Yeah.
So they want books, right? There's people that only like Imperial Fist,
Wrong people.
Yeah, the bloat is there because people want things about themselves.
Yeah, I don't think I take anything out of it.
Yeah, one of the characters I never thought I'd care about is Sevatar from the Night Lords. He's got his own separate book called Prince of Crows, which is one of the best novellas I've ever heard. Basically, it's him as the first captain of the Night Lords, who's a bit fed up about being a Night Lord.
Yeah.
And he's a bit fed up with the bullshit that Conrad Kurz does. Because he's like, everyone's asking where you are, and Conrad Kurz has locked himself in his shed playing with dead corpses again, talking to them, And he's just like, I'm just so done with this, And there's a great Lucius short story. Lucius is a character I never really cared about, but there's a great short story about him going around to every different legion to kill all of their champions, to fight them, to find someone that can beat him.
Because Lucius is a baller as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need it because there's so many great characters. Even like the things about the iterators in the books, like the whole backstory about how the church gets created and why it gets created. There's so much stuff in there that you don't have available in 40k Black Library.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think, honestly, I know it's a shit answer to your question. I think I'd leave it as it is. I don't think I'd take anything out, personally.
Yeah.
Genuinely. Hey, cool.
Yeah. The only thing I wouldn't put in a Custodes army, looking at what Ed's put in, I wouldn't put that new captain in. Throw him.
Well, there's a super chat about that in just a moment. Let's get into that one.
Thank you, Peter Hudson, for 1 gifted membership. Thank you, Meat Squadron. Great name.
It is a good name.
For the 1 gifted membership.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan Skippy, for 1 gifted membership.
We're going to end on 80.
Thank you, Luke. It's not our fault the Custodes have a small range, and when they do give us a model, it's for a thing we already have.
There is no way that you already had a model for a custodian that had sex with a Votan. There's no way, Luke, you already had that model, all right?
So I called this months ago. Not that it would be shit, but I was like, because we were talking about because when Games Workshop announced, when all the codexes come out, every codex is going to get something new. And I said, they're going to get a proper Shield Captain model and they'll put him on a bigger base. Because the biggest issue that Custodes players are, especially when they're playing against other people, they're like, oh, I'll captain that unit. Which one? They all look the same. Because it's all part of the same box set. Or they'll go, he'll have a bigger base and it'll be a bigger-ish model, so he stands out more.
Slightly
and
different
looks
weapon.
More cool. Yeah. And what they gave you was a joke.
Well, no, let's be clear, right? I'll take the piss out of the fact that it looks like it's a squat until I actually see it in the flesh.
Yeah.
Because I also know for a fact, we all know for a fact actually, that GW do have a history of a model coming out and you going, that looks awful, and then you see it in the flesh and go, oh, actually it's really nice.
Yeah.
And for some reason, their cameraman or the angle they choose to, I feel like often it's because they go, we must take all models' pictures from the exact same angle. Like, don't, stop it.
I think the biggest problem with that model is that he is he's lunging. He's lunging forwards and squatting, but his top half is like proper straight up.
It's a weird pose.
They're kind of going for like one of those kind of like polearm samurai poses.
It's a weird
and it's
pose.
not worked.
Again, it might be the photo.
What?
I hated the Angron model in the photos, detested it. You built it, put it in front of me, I was like, oh shit, that's actually really nice.
I think what you need, I think what's going to happen if I was going to get that model is I'd use the arms, the cape, the shoulder pads, the weird hat plume thing, and the head, and I put them on like a warden or a standard custodian body that stood more upright, that kind of gives him that stature. There's the Ixion Hale Custodes model that you get from Forge World, who's like a ward. He's like a shield captain who's walking downstairs. He's carrying his helmet in one arm. He's got
I do?
Beautiful.
I just used the Valdon model.
Yeah.
Because he's stunning. Cool. Anyway, we are now 15 minutes over. We didn't hit the 100 members, chat. We only hit 80. Makes me sad.
Yeah.
But I understand. You know, it's my fault for being off last night, not your fault. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. It's been an interesting chat. After the stream is finished, if you are so inclined, stick your favourite novel of all time from the Warhammer Black Library universe in the video description below. So it can be Age of Sigmar, it can be fantasy, it can be 40k, it can be 30k. There's 190 people in chat right now. I'm genuinely interested as to what your favourite novel of all time is or has been, your favourite read. Because there's a couple there that probably him and I haven't read, and we might be like, oh, I'll give that one a go at some point as well. So let us know. And if anyone's watching after the fact, you can also go in there obviously and have a look and see if there's a novel that you've never read that you might be interested in. I 100% think that one of the reasons why I love this hobby so much is because of the narrative behind it. I think without this narrative, without the lore and the setting and the authors that write what they do for 40k, for 30k, I probably wouldn't love it anywhere near as much.
It was the narrative that I left the hobby for like 4 years, like a sabbatical, when I was just like, I was working and moving and traveling around a lot, and I'd sold everything, but I still kept the books. And then I read the books, and then one day I was in King's Lynn and they opened a new store, a Games Workshop store, and I was like, I just wandered in. I was just walking along, and then this tractor beam kind of pulled me in, and then I had Necrons.
The rest is history. Yeah. The narrative is beautiful. I love it. And you know, in a modern world of technology, I know we joke about this because we both listen to audiobooks, but there's always going to be a place for authors telling the stories that they're telling.
Yeah.
Especially in this universe, I love it. So it'd be cool to share what your favourite novels are, what your favourite books are in the video description, not in the video description, in the comment section below. Now that's it from me today, kind of. So if you're looking for something to do between now and Chat Plays tonight at 7:30, a podcast dropped on the Siege Studios YouTube channel at midday today. I was up there on Tuesday. I had a chat with James and the team. It's an hour-and-a-half podcast. That's live right now, so you can watch that now if you've already watched the one with James on this channel that released on Saturday. So you can check that out. And then at 7:30 this evening, Joe and Brom go live with Chat Plays. Custodians versus
Chaos Space Marines with demons.
Demons. Paddy's been painting a lot of demons.
Yeah. I didn't want to run solo demons because I didn't want to try and learn a new army whilst doing Chat Plays.
Yeah. So it's Imperium versus Chaos tonight for Chat Plays to give you plenty of options for things to bring to the table. That goes live at 7:30 on the channel. After this stream, I'll be setting up the thumbnail and getting that stream ready. Carl will be on the deck for you. I'll be hanging around for the first hour or two, and then I'll be off skis. And then we'll be back tomorrow night with 40k After Dark at 9:30. Point to note, for those of you that hung around, next week, the stream times are probably going to be changing. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday evenings will be changing. So just keep an eye on that. I'll let you all guys know. I'll put it all in Discord. Just be aware, right? Yeah, that's everything. Oh. Should we go? I'm starving. I haven't eaten today.
I'm well hungry.
Should we go get some food before we get ready for this evening? You guys have been amazing. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye. Have a wonderful time.